Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm going to give people just a few minutes to come into the room, get settled, make sure audio is working, and that they can see the screen. All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into it. So good morning, welcome. Thank you for joining us for How Data Products Advance Your Tableau Investment. With today's talk, I would like to encourage you to engage and to share actively your perspectives, experience, and maybe even your frustrations in the Q&A section of GoToWebinar. I'm encouraged to be here with my co-host, Dr. Nicholas Heck-Grosick, and each of you all as we navigate through the next 45 minutes. My name is Nada Tallier. I'm the Director of Product Marketing and Content here at One Data, and I'm obviously with my co-host, Nick Heck-Grosick, Principal Solutions Engineer. Hey, Nick.
Good morning, everyone. Really nice to see all of you.
Thanks. So today we've prepared some great content with the goal to support those of you who have made investments in your BI tools like Tableau. We'll also talk through some of the considerations of self-serve data and analytics and how it's evolved. And just so you know, our vision here at One Data is to help IT, data, and business teams really collaborate, driven by data and supported with AI as we continue to move into the future. So before we get started, of course, some quick housekeeping notes. As a reminder, all attendee lines are muted, and you can ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A function of GoToWebinar. So let's go ahead and dive in with a poll to start. Okay, so one of the things that we've been doing is we've actually been listening to a lot of you who are in the Tableau community. But a couple of weeks ago, we actually had an opportunity to join you all in Berlin for a Viz IT, which over 400 people self-reported that they're still having some of the same challenges that you all shared today. Data quality in reports, duplicate data, understanding the business needs and use cases, gaining clarity on questions that need to be answered by business people, finding the right data for the job, data changing formats, connecting and cleaning data. The one I cringe at most is we're still a report factory, but the reality is there's still these problems that persist. And if we really break down these challenges, I would like to look at it in a step phase, right? So where are the complexities taking place? If we look at the build phase, we can see that obviously it's a lot of the data preparation work that's coming into play. If we think about how we're managing data, it's really about what are we building, why are we building it, and getting clarity in terms of the actual needs that we're trying to help a business person solve. And then when it comes to discovery, there's things like, data literacy and proficiency in data. There's access to data and finding the right stuff to do the job. And then there's obviously our favorite data living in Excel and spreadsheets where it's very unmanageable. So when we think about this from a perspective of what does this look like, we think we can all agree that there's insufficient or incomplete data and it doesn't support end users in answering their questions. We have broken dashboards, which are symptoms of insufficient data development processes, not a result of the visualization. And we can also agree that preparing complex and difficult to connect data is not an easy problem to solve, and nor is managing it. So if we reflect on where we've come from, so we can discuss why we're here today, we have to really first examine this idea of self-serve data and how it's evolved in the last 20 years, shifting away from data teams taking on all of the work to really focusing on enabling a diverse set of business users with the right tools and knowledge to both build and consume data they need for their projects. So businesses who want to move from 2% of people being able to work with data to a data-driven enterprise with a greater portion of people able to build and consume data actually require tools that support them and to some extent remove complexity. So when we look at this, we really have to first go back and go, okay, what are we actually trying to build back then, right? So when we think about it, our definition of actually self-serve has evolved, right? We're no longer looking for just simple to use tools with a scaled down set of data. We're actually looking to use more of the data. Our expectation about what is self-service has also evolved. It's more than visual analytics and analysis. And the reality is, this is only serving a portion of the business people who need data to drive impact and outcomes. And last, the report factory is still not in our IT, data, or business team's best interest. So today's definition self-service is about having access to the right data. That can be in the form of data assets or data products that are available for use. And for the next generation of self-service, this means that we're able to design and change our own dashboards, but it also means that we have access to more of the data, the right data, the quality data, to be able to build and design for the jobs that we have in front of us. In our complex world, data preparation is a key challenge for every data analyst, and without doubt is a problem for business people. And so this idea to analyze business processes, you really need to have access to data from different sources and to be able to harmonize it. And we look at this and we see things like treating data as a product and using a data product building approach and how it enables you to address these challenges in a structured, repeatable way while establishing a strong data product foundation for the business, for the data teams to use more of the company's data to actually drive and advance data projects. So if we look at, what is the definition of treating data as a product and what is it really supposed to do, we really have to look at the lens of why, right? And if we look at what HBR suggests, Harvard Business Review, they're saying that companies that treat data as a product can really reduce the time to implement new use cases by 90%. So what does that mean? It means that we're taking a smarter approach to data management. It involves adopting a mindset and approach that's really treating data assets with a level of care, management, and strategic thinking as traditional tangible products or services. And I'll say this, it's not that we're not doing that today. It's that we're not able to iterate as quickly as we need to in order to continue to advance our projects and to move to a greater level of analytical capability within our organizations. So when you think about data as a valuable resource, it's really emphasizing the value, the usability, the quality, obviously, the transformation, and really building it into this valuable resource rather than thinking of it as a business byproduct, which still a lot of us do today. And if we think about one of the other things that's key here is really about distribution of responsibility. So there's no way that a data team or an IT team can take on all of the management of this process. We really need business domains to come into play here to really be able to support in design, to support the design process so that we can really generate data and make sure that business also has stake in the game, right? There's responsibility for the use and for the maintenance. So the second thing we have to look at when we think about why treating data as a product is what the heck is a data product, right? So the data product is a reusable data asset built to deliver a trusted, reliable, quality assured set of data for a specific purpose. They integrate data from relevant source systems. That can be third party, it can be partner data, it could be market data, it could be your own data, right? And they ensure ownership and compliance and are instantly accessible with anyone with the right credentials. So the nice thing about data products is they shield data consumers from underlying complexity of data sources, right? They decouple data assets from systems, making them discoverable and accessible as an asset. And they're made up of metadata, sample data. They contain semantics, code, and transformations, quality assurance checks, and a series of other maintenance attributes. So when we look at data products and how they're empowering businesses to build and work with data and really leverage the data products across the network, this is where the power comes in. So when we break down, we look at 3 different types of data products. Our source-aligned domain data, which I think every company today has several of these data sources or data extracts, for example, built out in Tableau. What we also know is that there's potentially a smarter way to work here. So when we look at source aligned, we look at the analytical data, reflects business information, it represents raw data at the point of creation, and it's typically generated by our operational systems, typically brought in and procured by the business teams, right, with support of their goals and objectives. We have aggregate domain data, which is analytical data composed of multiple upstream or source aligned data domains. We also have attributes that must be brought together to produce the right data. And then we have consumer aligned data, which are analytical data transformed to fit the needs of one use case. So we can think of this as purpose fit. And we can think of consumers who represent applications or the users of data like data scientists. So when we look at the, kind of simple to more advanced use cases, we can look at sales contract invoices from a source aligned. We can look at customer payments. We could look at consulting hours booked. From an aggregate, a good example of this is a sales pipeline management dashboard with obviously the data to support it. We have customer profitability. We can have resource planning. And then if we look at the consumer aligned data, there's a set of more complex data attributes that are brought together, a set of systems that need different data to be coming together to really get a full view. And things like customer lifetime value are one of those. We can also think about customer health score with a predictive churn model built in and how complex that could be, but also how useful that can be for our businesses to run. We can also look at things like demand seasonality, right, to predict and understand forecasting. So these are different types of data products. Each has its purpose in our workplace, but one of the things that I think is most interesting about this is that you're able to build. So you can build to a consumer aligned, but you must start with a source or aggregate, right, to get there. So these become the building blocks to what really advances our data-driven projects and really those advanced analytics use cases. So as we go into this, let's take a quick look at really what is a data product, right, in practice. So one of our customers, Shot, actually has been optimizing their production through data products. And the two main data products that we're going to talk about here are really the glass roll setting and their KPI reporting dashboard. But their challenge, first and foremost, was to really automate and harmonize daily production quantities across different plant locations. So they have companies and locations across Germany, Brazil, China, India, just to name a few. And they're really there to try to find optimal machine settings after a change from a glass roller. And while this might not seem so complex, that it was manually done and calculated using spreadsheets and very complex and very timely. And so what they did is they actually developed a data product to optimize the glass sheet positioning with real-time precision, increasing productivity, reducing material wastage, and saving significant cost and benefiting the bottom line. The second thing here that's pretty cool is their KPI reporting dashboard, which is used and automates and harmonizes daily production quantities across different plant locations, which increases transparency and performance and really helps them run their day-to-day business. So there's a number of different benefits, there's a number of different ways, and we'll talk about actually how we build data products and some more examples as we go forward, but this is just one simple example. So what is the data product builder, and why is this what we believe is the next way to help business and data teams and IT really support them in their innovation, in their projects, supporting data-led organizations? So One Data supports data experts and business users at every stage of the data product lifecycle, using powerful AI to accelerate timely process and gain insights quickly. So the first and foremost thing, we must ingest data into the data landscape. So what you'll see in today's demo is really highlighting how the full data product journey starts, how we use visual mapping capabilities to really show and visualize the data landscape for easier access and full visibility. But with this, we take obviously data and metadata, ingest this in to actually build that landscape. There's capabilities for you to be able to explore, which is really about accessing, discovering data products. It's about examining the data to make sure it's the right fit for your job. And there's also obviously our data product marketplace, which makes it's a centralized interface where people can come and find data products that have been already built, request access, and obviously see what is available. You are also going to see how you can request a data product within the product. And then we'll also talk through and show you how to build data products, which includes linking, transforming, developing, and deploying obviously into the marketplace. We'll talk a little bit about how we manage data products in the life cycle, including notifications and alerts, quality assurance measures, and obviously when it's time for deprecation. And then last but not least, when you want to actually share that data product, use it, apply it in your business. So we'll take a look at that. And with that said, Nick, I will go ahead and turn it over to you. All yours, Nick.
All right. So I need to set up my screen quickly, but I think you should be able to see everything now. Brilliant. Okay, so in the following presentation, I really want to show you a very practical example of how you can use the One Data Product Builder to explore all your data sets, how to make new data product requests, and then also how to actually build a data product and use it externally. And then in the very last section of today's presentation, I want to show you how you can use the visualization capabilities of the One Data Product Builder to really track the lineage of all your Tableau assets across different systems. So we've got a lot of things to do, so let's jump right in. Let's imagine we are an analyst at a fictitious company. And if you've ever seen one of our presentations, you might remember that I'm a very big fan of our fictitious aerospace company called SpaceLink Dynamics. And as an analyst, it is our job to find insights to very specific business questions. And today we are tasked on finding out which companies buy the most products from us. So let's jump into One Data and see if we can find the right data product that helps us answering this question. You should now be able to see our welcome screen on the One Data product platform. And right, so what you can see here in the very first place is a lot of summarized information. You see the most recently updated products in the top. You see the so-called data product board. So you see the current requests that are in the creation process. And you can also see a summary of the pending access requests. As a business user, we really start our day-to-day work on the data product marketplace. This, like on a real marketplace, brings together the consumers on the one side and the producers on the other side. And like on a real marketplace, I can just go around and see if I can shop for things that I'm interested in. What you can see here is probably the most iconic view of the One Data Product Builder, and this is what we call our data landscape. Each and every individual hexagon you can see on the map represents one ready-to-use, high-quality data product. You can now look through all of this here and see if there's data that is really interesting for you or that might be able to answer your question. And if you've seen the previous presentation, you might remember that in the earlier presentation, we were tasked to find out with which countries we have most business with. And for this purpose, we built a data product that was called the client master data table, the client master table, sorry. Back then, we walked you through a very high-level overview of the creation of this data product. And we ended by emphasizing the importance of data products to speed up your analytical efforts by using one data product as the basis to build a new data product and to reuse it. And this is what we did when we talked about the forecast of client orders. Today, I really want to walk you through the creation of a very simple data product, but really show this to you in real time before we export this to Tableau. So let's investigate the client master table a little bit more. As I said, our question to answer today is how much do we sell to these individual companies? And in our client master table, we have a lot of information about the whereabouts of our company, and we see a lot of information on the individuals there and like reference partners or something like this, but we don't have any information about things we sell to them, right? So we could now look through our data products right here and investigate whether any of those other assets are what we're looking for, or hold the information we're looking for. However, we wouldn't find what we need. So this means that we need to make a new data product request. And for this, we navigate to our data product request pane. Right here, we pretty much have a form that we need to fill in, and we give all the information as a business user to someone who's supposed to develop our data product, maybe a data engineer. So what we do is we simply type in a name for our table, our data product. We select who is responsible to own this, make some basic entries right here. Then we need to give all of this a simple and short description. And while we're at it, we also make some requirements for development, because what we actually want to do is we want to take the client master table and then we want the engineer to join an existing local Excel file to this client master table so we get a full overview of what we need. All right, we're already done. If we were very proficient in what we're doing, we could also emphasize more what columns needs to be taken. However, for now, let's simply hit send request and we're back on our home screen right here. There's one last thing that we want to do, because we really know that the client master table already serves as the very good input, right? So we go back to our marketplace, we look for our client master table, and we attach this data source to the request we just created. So now the developer really knows what he or she needs to do, and they already have the data at hand, what they need. Brilliant. Sorry. Not so brilliant, because for some reason it fails. Okay, let's pretend that this worked and navigate back to our main presentation. So we have seen that we are able to explore all the data in a very visual way, and it was really easy to create the data product request. And the data landscape here really serves as the key component that displays all your integrations of data. It breaks down the data silos and it streamlines your data discovery. So next up, I promised you that we take a very close look on how we actually build data products. Now let's put ourselves in the shoes of a data engineer this time. As an engineer today, we are very often tasked with dealing with multiple systems to build data products that the business users need. But we now want to jump into one data and see how we can build this data product right in the platform, publish it, and then eventually access it from Tableau. So take a deep breath. This chapter may take a couple of minutes. Back in our home screen, we changed to our dark theme just to emphasize that we're now pretending to be a data engineer. So you can see that this is the company sales table we just created. So we go in here and we can now see and understand what needs to be done. You can also see that there are the required data sources for production. So now I set up a working environment right here. So this basically creates a project folder where I can now start working, and after a couple of seconds, this should be spun up automatically by the platform. All right, there we go. Go to the one data product. And since we want to build a data product from an existing one and merge it with a local Excel file, we need to upload this Excel file first. And this is what I will do right away. So I simply select the table from my local drive. I upload the table. And while we're on it, we can even choose to lock the content of this table, because actually this is very sensitive information and we don't want anyone else other than me to see what is inside the data. Brilliant. So we have the data here. Next up, we really want to dive deep into how we actually combine the data product, the data tables to a data product. So we start with our workflows right here, and OneData already conveniently created a very first workflow for us we can use. We actually don't need the input right here. Instead, what we will do is we will load 3 additional so-called processors. These processors allow us to do some very easy data manipulation up to very advanced statistical modeling. So first thing we need is we need to load our data table, which will be our Excel file. Second thing we want to do is we want to load our data product, which will be called data layer load. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to somehow combine this. So we need a processor that is actually able to understand some very basic SQL. Great. So let's select our orders table. You can see there's a cross in the eye, so it means that our data is locked like we wanted it to be. On the other hand, we choose our client master table, which we said should be the requirement for this data project. Then we simply connect those two to our double input query. And now if I go here, you can already see that OneData already understands that it needs to have a first and second input table, and you can already see the column names right here. So we simply input a little bit of SQL code and then tell OneData on what it needs to join. We hit OK. Connect this to our output. Just need to do a very simple adjustment here so we can replace our existing data align this, hit save and run, and we're good to go. And within just a couple of seconds, we were able to join the existing data product that was already high quality from our marketplace and join this with our local CSV file. Brilliant. So let's go back to our home screen. And now we are fast forwarding a little bit. You can now see that the company sales table is in development. And since it's already developed, I can now push this into the next status, which will be in review. So in the real world, the business user would now see if the requirements for his or her data product are met. Let's pretend they are met, and we simply publish this. Brilliant. Now our data product is published, so we should be able to see it in the data product marketplace. Since we are now the business user again who wants to see their data product, we switch back to our light theme. And like business users do, they start their journey in the data product marketplace. And now here on the data product marketplace, they can look for their company sales table. There we go. There is our freshly created company sales table. So we can right click and investigate it a little bit further. And we see exactly what we wanted. So we have all the information of our company like we had previously. So the whereabouts, where it's located, but we also have information on the price and the quantity of what they sold. Great. So we really want to answer our question of which companies do how many buy how many products. So what we do next is we transition to Tableau, and the way we connect our system to Tableau is via a virtual connection. So we simply manipulate this virtual connection. Need to get some access credentials really quickly. Those access credentials are actually created by OneData. So we are now, no, we don't need this. We are now in. So what we need to do now is we need to wait a little bit until our data finally arrived in Tableau. So it takes a couple of seconds really to get the data from the read layer and make it visible in Tableau. So now we can drag it over here. We see that we can work with it. So we publish our virtual connection. The interface is in German. Apologies for that. And we can now start by creating a new worksheet and select our virtual connection in Tableau. Select the data product that we just created, and you guys know this process better than anyone else. And we start creating some very simple visualization by taking our client ID number and simply summing up the quantity of what they bought. So now we can see that company 0528 is the company which sold the most items from us. And this basically sums up the question that we wanted to answer. So we've seen the complete end-to-end process now from the data discovery over to building the data product by uploading a local Excel file and combining it with an already existing data product, and how easy it was to really share this to Tableau and start working right there. So next up, I really want to draw your attention to a very different perspective for the last episode of this presentation. I want you to introduce to how you can use the data landscape we've just seen to track the lineage of your data assets across a variety of systems. So let's check this out. This time, I'm bringing you to another instance of OneData. This demo instance we use for very sophisticated product development also, and see whether everything we imagine might work as we intend. So you can see that we hooked up a couple of different systems to this OneData instance. You can see data coming from Jira, from Personio, HubSpot. You can see all the data that lives in OneData, and you can of course see Tableau. To make things a little bit easier to understand, I created this submap where we can just focus on the three islands that we are interested in: OneData, Tableau, and Snowflake. So within Tableau, if I now drill in a little bit deeper, you can see that the levels adjust, and you can now see that we have this many dashboards, this many sheets, this many data sources coming from this many tables. Now, we really want to track the lineage of one very particular asset. So I show you how we can do this. So let's drill down to the level of the assets, and we have this one dashboard here, the METPIC averages. So from people outside of sales, METPIC is just a metric to evaluate a deal. You can see, for example, that this in the properties, so in the metadata, is a Tableau dashboard. It comes from Tableau. We can even use this link to jump directly to the dashboard outside of OneData. However, now if you want to understand how this is built, what we will be doing is we use our so-called spider mode right here. So we toggle the spider mode and we want to see all the incoming edges. So now we can see that this dashboard is actually made up of these two sheets right here. So let's track only the lineage of this particular sheet. So we can see that this particular sheet is made up of these data sources. And I'm sorry, it's me and the magic mouse. And this particular data source right here consists of these tables. And one of these tables, for example, goes all the way down to a different island, which is Snowflake. Now, if you ever were lucky enough to play around with the Tableau Data Management add-on, you might say, well, I can see similar things in the Tableau Data Management add-on, but there are two differences. The one difference is that in the Tableau Data Management add-on, you can only see the lineage from one specific point, and you don't have the flexibility to change the perspective. So you always need to hook to one specific point, and you can everything that is up and downstream from this perspective, but you don't have the flexibility to choose between different points of your lineage. The second point, and this to me really is the most important point, your data lineage ends where Tableau ends. So in the data management add-on, you can see that your table comes from Snowflake, but how is it actually processed in Snowflake? So let's have a look at this. Down in our Snowflake island, we can now continue to drill deeper. So this table is actually made up of these two tables. And if I now want to analyze what this table is made of, I can do this, but now it's only self-referencing this. So it means that we reach the end of our lineage. So now I really know that the one table that I can see in Tableau, which comes from Snowflake, is actually made up of other assets. So what does this mean the other way around? Let's imagine we would make a change to this particular table in my Snowflake instance. What I want to do is I want to toggle the spider mode, but this time I want to toggle all the outgoing edges. So I deselect the incoming. So we choose this asset and we see where our data is going. So like I said, it's going to the one contacts table right here. This is going all the way to our Tableau island. And now let's try to figure out where all of this is going. So we just select this, 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 and also this. And we see that a change in this one particular table has a tremendous impact on all of these data sources in Tableau. So from there, we could even go further and say, okay, let's only focus on this one very specific data source. So this data source impacts these 4 different sheets. So let's see from these sheets where this is going. And which dashboard do these sheets influence? Well, of course, it's our beloved dashboard one, and I'm very sure that every one of you has a couple of dashboards ones on their Tableau instance. So I hope that we've seen how easy it is to really track the lineage across all your systems, not only within Tableau, but also back to the source systems. And now imagine that you were not only running Tableau, but you might also be running Power BI or Click. And you could really understand where all your assets live and what one change might introduce to the rest of your reporting landscape. So This has really been a lot, and let's try to bring all this back home. With one data product builder, you're able to not only integrate all your systems, but you can visualize all your data and build reusable data products quicker. You can access all the existing data products on a centralized marketplace, and you can even share your own work so that others can contribute and benefit from your work. We have not covered any of the very sparkling AI features today, but of course you can imagine that we are working our hardest to implement even more features like generated coding or like automated requests for data product building. So with this in mind, I hope that you enjoyed our little presentation, and I hand it over back to you, Nida.
Thanks so much, Nick. All right, so let's take a quick summary here of what we just saw. All right, so as we saw, One Data is AI-powered data product builder is supporting us through ingesting, exploring, requesting, building, managing, and sharing capabilities. As Nick also pointed, in 2024, you will see a set of AI-powered features and functionality that actually come into the product. Today, we're working on how AI supports the data product request process, making it easier for business or data people to request data products, how it supports us in finding and accessing the right data, how we support SQL query generation with generative AI, and how we support the linking of data assets using AI. So each of these capabilities and really the feature sets that will be coming to support them are areas where we see the biggest struggles, the biggest challenges when it comes to actually having data ready to be able to do something with. And so each step here is really part of the process, and we try to break that down to really think through and think about how end users would be able to use it. So hopefully what you saw is exciting for you. Hopefully it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully it helps you get curious about what is possible and what's coming. When we think about the greater ecosystem, using One Data, you can really enable business data consumption, and that's really what we are prioritizing and what we're focused on. So supporting self-serve access, use, and lifecycle management of data products, and really the quality management of it. We're thinking hard about how IT, data, and business teams can use our product to improve the ability to drive innovation that supports each line of business in achieving their own goals and objectives. And we're really thinking about how data products need to become part of our strategy. They need to become part of our DNA. And so we've built and will continue to create resources to support you. Our goal here is to bring business and IT teams closer together and really think about how we can support this shift in responsibility and bringing more business people into data product ownership and supporting the data and IT processes there. And last but not least, by integrating metadata into the process, data and business teams can increase their impact. They can reduce the level of effort required that's often through manual processes and really support this execution from data into actual productive data for business people. So our goal here is to help, close the last mile or close this middle mile, if you will, between IT and business, and to support you with the tools and resources that are needed in the journey. If we think about the benefits, there's a number of different benefits, and really this is about how it's implemented, what steps and how you want to prioritize an implementation process. But we know that data leaders need a solution that benefits their team members, the data science teams they work with, as well as their business partners that they have across the organization. And so with One Data's AI-powered data product builder, you can achieve several long-term benefits, and this slide outlines just a few of those. These benefits span from reduced time to development and maintenance of data pipelines. You can find fast and easy ways to deploy data at scale consistently, and you can maximize efficiency for both your people and data delivery processes. And last but not least, let's take a quick look at just some of the examples here. So we've highlighted a number of different types of data products that deliver clear value to our customers and to each of you, I'm sure, allowing you to start and complete your data-led projects that actually result in those tangible business outcomes you're looking for. So if you're interested in learning more, if you're interested in furthering the conversation, you can definitely explore our website. We have a number of solutions pages up that are supporting different industries as well as different business departments. So have a look there. And if you're inclined and you're interested in more information, you can actually reach out to us to start your data product journey at sales@onedata.de. So if there are specific questions, we are obviously happy to answer those as we get started. Again, we appreciate you all attending. Nick, thanks so much for the time and the demo today, and we hope that you enjoyed today's presentation.
Thanks, everyone. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you.